fumbled for a second before finding purchase. I hauled the stone backward, my shoulders straining. With one more massive heave, it lurched free, and I tripped and fell onto my backside. I scrambled up, ignoring the jab of pain, and went for the second stone. As I yanked it to the side, the woman stirred, her eyelids fluttering, her expression dazed. Should I try to move her, or leave her there? A siren wailed in the distance. The professional emergency workers on their way, but the thought of simply abandoning her until they arrived made my gut twist. "Finn!" My mother's voice rang out from behind me. She and Dad were hustling my way, their long shadows rippling over the rubble in the late afternoon light. They must have followed me from the hospital, where we'd been reeling from my granduncle Raymond's death when the insurgents had attacked. Other people emerged from the buildings around us and farther down the street, wary but moving toward anyone injured they could see. The sight of my parents hit me with an uncomfortable punch of relief strung through with horror. I had nothing to do with the insurgent attack, but I had to shoulder some responsibility for granduncle Raymond's death. He'd only come out of the Confed building during the protest I'd helped organize because I'd forced his hand. If he hadn't stepped outside, a rogue member of that protest wouldn't have had the chance to catch him off guard. Perhaps I should take some blame for the catastrophe around me as well. Would the insurgents have attacked if they hadn't seen the Confederation weakened as one of its leaders lay dying? Dad and Mom had no idea how deeply I'd gotten involved with the Freedom of Magic League's protests and other activities. I'd lied to them and gone behind their backs so many times in the last few months, but other than their own horror at the situation, all that showed in their expressions as they reached me was concern for my well-being. This was hardly the time to dwell on my transgressions. Inter arma silent leges, as Cicero so aptly put it. Many more lives hung in the balance with every passing moment. I motioned to the half-conscious woman. "I got her free, but I don't know what to do for her now." A lot of the color had already drained from Dad's face, but he turned even more sallow when he saw his co-worker sprawled there. "You did well for a start," he said with a quick squeeze of my shoulder. "Let me scan her and see if there's anything else we can do before the magimedics and the emergency workers get here. They should be close by now." He and Mom knelt on either side of the woman. Both of them sang out lyrics under their breaths, with puffs of condensation. Mom beginning at the woman's feet, and Dad at her head. Their features tensed. Their voices grew louder. They were struggling to conduct the frantic magic just as Rocio had. Mom paused. "Her leg is broken. Finn, can you find something straight and sturdy that we can use as a splint? It'd probably be best to move her to a spot that's more stable if we can manage it, without exacerbating her injuries." "I'll look." I swiveled around as Mom took up her chant again. A broken chair back protruded from the wreckage several feet away. I dashed over and tugged it free to find one of the wooden legs already dangling by a few splinters. I broke it off completely with a jerk of my hand. I rushed back to the prone woman, tugging my scarf from around my neck. "Here," I said. "Use this to bind it on." "Perfect." Mom flashed me a tight but genuine smile as she took the scarf and chair leg. She set the splint against the woman's shin and whispered a lyric that I suspected would become a numbing spell. Dad had balled his own scarf against the back of the woman's head, which he'd eased up from the broken stone beneath her. A streak of blood was spreading across the fabric. "Hold this here," he said to me. I dropped down beside him to press the makeshift bandage against the wound. Dad murmured a chantment to slow the bleeding as much as he could. For an instant, despite the worried voices all around us and the cold air burning down my throat and into my lungs, I felt oddly calm. I might not have magic, but the three of us